everyone ready?
Yes, sir.
I was gonna say, that was pretty weak. Like 2 people said yes.
Yay.
There we go, that's better. All right, perfect. So we're gonna go through and we're gonna talk about SOI. Now, for some people, this is a repeat, so welcome back, Paul. Have you done this one, Jeff, or no?
It's been a while.
Okay. So anyway, I'm glad that you're back. And this one is one that I would highly recommend that you attend it every time I teach it until you have it working the way we're going to talk about it working. And the reason I say that is at the end of this class, when we're done talking about it, you're going to leave here really excited. You're going to leave like going, yeah, I can see where this would really work. And I'm going to do it. And then life happens and you end up forgetting some of the things that we said or whatever. So that's why I say, I recommend you keep coming back to it. So for me personally, before I had this implemented and working in my business, the way I'm going to show you, it took me coming back to this class. I don't even remember how many times. Like it was that many times that I just kept going and kept going and kept going. Now, that maybe makes it sound like, oh, this is going to be difficult. It's not. So here's what I will say is essentially what's going to happen is I'm going to give you 4 protocols. So what is a protocol?
Way of doing something.
Okay, the system.
Order, condition.
Perfect. That's the best way I say it is think of it as a protocol. The reason I'm not going to give you 4 rules or 4 laws is these are 4 protocols. So think of it as it is a required condition. So if you will do what I'm going to show you how to do, it is 100% guaranteed to work. I have never had anybody go and do it exactly the way I'm going to show you. And again, this is not difficult, but I've never had anybody actually do it the way that I'm going to show you and then come back to me and say it didn't work. And the reason behind that is because it's a math problem. So what I'm going to show you really is the way we typically approach working our sphere of influence is we typically approach it from the standpoint of working it as if we're working people, meaning we approach it as a people problem. But what I'm telling you is really it's a math problem. And if you'll approach it from the standpoint of it being a math problem, then follow the guidelines that I'm going to give you, and it's 100% guaranteed to work. And the reason I say that is because is 2 + 2 ever not 4?
No.
So why do we know 2 + 2 is always going to be 4? It's never going to change. Okay. Good. So here's what I'm saying is the way the process I'm going to teach you in terms of working your sphere of influence is a math problem. So meaning it's the same concept as 2 + 2 is always going to be 4. If you'll follow the protocols, these 4 protocols that I'm going to give to you today, it is 100% guaranteed to work. Now, with that being said, let me just say this. One of the things in real estate is that people are always trying to sell us the next magic bean, or they're trying to sell us the next silver bullet, meaning you're getting approached all the time from different people of if you will go and do this, then pay us X amount of dollars and then it's going to work. So the good news is you don't have to pay me any dollars for it to show you this, meaning like it's not like what a lot of these marketing programs, but part of why I say that is it is not uncommon to watch real estate agents go out and chase, well, I'm going to go spend all this money on this particular program. And then they go sign up for the program and then they don't do it and it doesn't work. So what I'm saying is that there's no magic bean, there's no silver bullet, there's no like, it's going to take some work. Okay. Now, so I'm going to give you 4 protocols. So here's where we're going to start with this. So now remember I said at the start of this that you're going to leave here excited and then a few days later, you're going to forget what we've talked about. Part of the reason that happens is how long have you been here? No, it's not locked. You just slide. I'm like, how long have you worked in this office, Wanda? Welcome. All right. Now, what was I saying?
For protocol.
We're gonna be-
Oh, yes, okay, yes. So
Get me excited.
So here's what happens is, yeah, you get it, you're gonna be all excited, you're gonna leave, and then I get frustrated because what happens is that I teach you, you're gonna understand this, even though I keep saying it's a math problem, it's not hard. But you're gonna understand this really, really good when you leave. But where I get frustrated is because I'm actually even gonna ask you to put in your calendar 9 months from today to call me and tell me if what I said was incorrect. And the struggle is, I have only ever had one person ever call me after the 9 months, because one of two things happens. Either it's working, in which case they just forget and don't ever call me, or number two, they don't go do the things that I tell them to go do. And so they're therefore 9 months later, they don't call me. But I did have one person call me. And when they called me, they said, hey, you're in my calendar for me to call you, but I don't know why. And so I said, well, let me tell you why. 9 months ago from today, you attended the class on the SOI, and you were supposed to call me and say, Russ, I did everything you said to do. And he said, yeah, I didn't. So now here's the thing. So here's why. So, and to some extent, part of why I'm saying that, like, it almost feels like maybe I'm being a little negative on it, but I'm not. What I'm trying to get you to do is to say in your mind, whatever Russ tells me to do today, I'm going to go do it. That's really what I'm trying to create in you. Now, here's what happens. So,
Russ, before you start, can I make a comment?
yes, the doors slide.
So I have an SOI in my, that I sold a relocation property about, almost a year ago.
Okay.
And then I kept in touch with my SOIs, and I asked him for business, and he said, well, I have a friend, I don't know for sure if they're gonna sell or not, but I'll pass your number along. Make sure they get the number to the person, because and you get their number too. And I said, well, can I go ahead and call him? And he says, no, not yet. So I got a call probably about a month later, and the person he referred me to called me, asked me to go out and look at his home. It's up in Draper, $1 million home. We're gonna list it at the end of this month, the first of next month. He then said, you know what, my daughter might want to sell to her condo because she might be moving out with us. I got that under contract. It's closing on the 26th. She gave me her boyfriend's name, who also is going to sell his home, and I'll be listing that one.
Awesome.
SOI.
Good. Yeah, it works. No question. Okay, good. So now watch. So are you figuring out when 9 months is? All right, good. I love it. I look over and Chad's going 1, 2, 3. All right, so there's a sign-in sheet going around. Make sure that has everyone signed in? No, I don't think, Melissa, you've seen it either. So for you guys that are on Zoom, make sure you put your name and things or just name in the chat box so that I have a list. All right, so now let me show you what happens. Does anybody know how bamboo grows? What do you know about how bamboo grows?
Doesn't it grow like mostly underground forever, and then it shoots up?
Okay, good. Yeah, so typically the answer that I get when I say that is people will say to me, oh, bamboo grows really, really fast. Usually that's what people will say, which is true. Once it actually breaks through the surface, then it does grow really, really fast. But it takes typically somewhere between 4 and 5 years before that happens. Okay. Now, the reason I bring that up is because here's what's going to happen with this system is it's going to look something like this. Okay. So this is the learning curve, or half of a bell curve. Okay. And so what the process is going to look like is what I'm telling you when I am telling you this thing is guaranteed to work, is the process of this is going to take somewhere typically, and this varies depending on the agent, which is why you're going to see the range that you're going to see here. But typically it's going to take between 6 and 9 months before you start to see the results that I'm talking about right now. So remember I said that people come to the class, they get really excited because of what I'm going to show you, and then they leave and they don't do it. Well, the reason is because of this. The payoff of this, and it can happen faster, I want to be clear on that, but the payoff on this typically is where you're really going to see it, is right here, 6 to 9 months. So you can see here, if you look at this, the first, 3 or 4 months, 3 to maybe even 5 months, what's happening? Which is not actually true, by the way. Kind of like the bamboo, is nothing happening under the ground?
No,
yes.
What's it doing? What is the bamboo seed doing? Or I guess it's not a seed anymore, but what is it doing before it shoots up?
It's still
Still growing
maturing, it's
underground. It's
growing.
Okay, good. That's right. Is the root structure is getting set up to be able to handle it shooting up so quickly, right? Well, guess what's happening here?
Same thing.
Yeah, so part of what I say, this is where I get frustrated. So I'm going to show you guys and teach you how to do this. And we're going to run the math on this to where what you're going to see is ultimately, in fact, I probably even should, I don't know if I worded it this way in the email that I sent out, but if you are not seeing a greater than a 6-digit income coming out of your SOI, then you're not doing this. And if you do this, you will. And remember, I've been setting this whole thing up as it is 100% guaranteed. From this point on, you are guaranteed to have over a 6-digit income. And we'll run the math to where you can see it using what our numbers look like just from your SOI. Just from your SOI, if you'll do it. But notice, it's going to take 6 to 9 months before you hit the point where it's like, okay, from right now on, I can guarantee over a 6-digit income just from my SOI, and significantly over 6 digits, by the way. But notice what it feels like is happening the first 3, 4, or 5 months. Is it feels like nothing's happening. But it's important for you to understand and keep in mind, stuff's happening. You just don't see it coming about yet because it takes a little bit of time. But notice what happens when it does. It's going to go really fast all of a sudden when it does. Now I'll show you why that is in just a few minutes. Okay, so here's the next piece that I want to do with this. The next thing that I want to do is I've got a video I'm going to show you guys here. Now I keep talking about that it's a math problem, right? So let me get the screen down here. And I'm going to show you, some of you I know maybe don't like math. And so because of that, that's why I have this video is to show you. So I'm going to show you this video that is Ma and Pa Kettle. Does anybody know who Ma and Pa Kettle are? All the old people in the room. You know who they are? Well, I'm including myself in that one.
All the old people that live in the United States.
Oh, yes, okay, so, yeah, all the old people that lived in the US, but so this what you're gonna see is a video that was on TV. This was back when TV was in black and white, so really technically it predates me, but what we're gonna watch is this video here on Ma and Pa Kettle. So Ma and Pa Kettle were perceived in the show as being kind of backwoods, hicks, not very smart. What?
Like redneck.
Redneck. There we go. All right. So I'm going to show you this video here. Let me get it pulled up and shared for the people on Zoom as well. Screen coming up. So now the reason I want to show you this is because remember, this what we're going to be doing. This is a math problem. And in a minute here, as I start to show it to you, you're going to think, we need to put a note on the door. You're good. I know we just need to have a note that says slide. All right. So, okay. So you're going to feel like, though, that when I show you this math problem, as we go through and do this, at one point, you're going to feel like I'm doing Ma and Pa Kettle math. Just know I'm not doing Ma and Pa Kettle math. But first, you have to see the Ma and Pa Kettle math here. So get this out of the way here.
I figure 75% to you, Pa and Ma, and 25% divided between the 5 of us. Yida, Crowbar, myself, Tom, and the baby. That makes 5% for each one of us.
Billy, you're cheating yourself. If there's 25% divided among the 5 of you, that's 14% apiece.
Oh, no, listen, Pa. I wouldn't cheat you. You know I wouldn't. Now look here. I'll show you. Let me rub this out here. And now, 25 divided by 5 is 5. You see, 5 won't go into 2, will it? No. But 5 goes into 25 5 times, you see?
No, you're wrong, Billy. Now, I'm a pretty good mathematician. Now, 5 into 25, 5 won't go into 2, will it?
No.
But 5 goes into 5 once. Now, we didn't use the 2 before, so we bring it down here. Now, 5 into 20 goes 4 times. There you are. 5 into 25, 14.
No, look, Pa. Let me prove it to you now by multiplication. 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25.
Really, I'm surprised you're learning.
Huh?
I'm surprised that you're learning. Now I'll show you. 5 times 14 is 25. 5 times 4 is 20. 5 times 1 is 5. 25. That's it.
No, look, Ma. Look, you're wrong there because I'll prove it to you. We'll put down 5 14s here. 14. There. Now I'll prove to you by addition that 5 14s is not 25. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20.
21, 22, 23, 24, 25. There you are. Better brush up, Billy. I don't want to see you boys cheated.
All right. So there's Mom, Pa, Kettle, math. So now here's the thing. At some point, you're going to feel like I'm doing Mom, Pa, Kettle, math, but just know that I'm really not. Okay. All right. So now with that, okay, so with that, we're now going to go through, we're going to start to talk about how all of this works. So how do we do it? What are the 4 protocols and how do I make this work? And now keep in mind, the way that most people approach working their sphere of influence is they approach it as a people problem, meaning they approach it as if they're working with people, which we are. But I'm asking you to stop thinking that way and instead approach it from the standpoint of it's a math problem. So that's the first thing we're going to talk about here is, so of these 4 protocols, the first thing that we need to go through and talk about is that the way you want to approach working your sphere of influence, the way most people do it is they do it through what is called an open system. So in fact, let me ask, for you guys that are here, if I were to ask you, which I am going to right now, and for you guys on Zoom, you can throw it in the chat box. How many people do you have in your SOI? And just like throw out some numbers. Like you don't have to do it one at a time. Just
72.
250.
Like in the pipeline?
yeah. How many people?
Working with you
No,
guys?
okay, yeah. So let me define
Oh,
this. Let me define it. The way most people define their sphere of influence is if you were to call them up on the phone and say, hi, this is Russ, or whatever your name is. Hey, this is Russ. And they would know who you were. Like that's how most people define their sphere of influence is people that know who you are. So with that, how many people would, and if you have to guess, but how many people do you think just know who you are? 2. And he's being generous. Okay, 600. Okay, I heard one other number besides Rick's too.
200.
Okay.
Everybody's got a few hundred if we really thought about it.
Okay,
I got about 1,000.
good. So the way that we typically approach working our sphere of influence is that we usually approach it from the standpoint of who are the people who know who I am, that we assume that if they were going to buy or sell a house, they would use you, is what we assume. And that's part of the problem. That is an open system. Now, in fact, I have been to many classes before and seminars and all that, where what will happen is people will get up on the stage, these trainers or whatever, and they'll have real estate agents there, and they will usually start talking to them and asking them, how many people do you have in your SOI? And I hear a lot of times people saying, and in fact, people who have been, well, in fact, Paul, I'm gonna pick on you for a minute, because how long have you had your license?
4 years.
12? So how many people do you have in the database that you have named? And I don't mean internet leads. I mean people that you would consider SOI.
So last time when I came to class,
Okay, that's the number I want.
yes, the last.
Yes, not currently.
300
300?
Yeah.
How many would you say now?
right now.
Yeah.
Under 100, like 95.
Okay. So typically what happens though is you get these agents who have been in the business 20, 30 years, they've got 4,000 people in a database. They have collected names and phone numbers of 4,000 people. That's an open system. What the way we typically logically would approach working our sphere of influence is we're going to do it in an open system. So the first protocol that we're going to talk about is this. When you work your sphere of influence, it has to be a closed system. Okay, now I'll tell you what that means in just a minute. But first, we have to go through and talk about the difference between an open system and a closed system. In an open system, so when I said that these agents have 4,000 people or 2,000 or whatever the number is that they get to, what typically happens is this: you get your real estate license, you get some type of a database that you're going to keep track of people in, and then as you meet people outdoor knocking, whatever, you start collecting names and phone numbers and you keep putting them into this list, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. That's an open system. Okay, and the problem with an open system is this. How many sides to this dice? 6. Okay, so we're gonna talk about this more in just a minute. But first, I got to show you one other thing here. Okay, so if I were to just grab a map, if I just grabbed a map of the Salt Lake Valley here, and we were to look at the list, or excuse me, that map, and I drew a circle on it. Now, and like I said, it'd have to be probably about the size of the Salt Lake County to do this, but if I drew just a circle on a map, this is a brand new marker. I just barely got it and it's not working very well. If I just drew a circle on that map, so here's the question for you. If I drew a circle on a map, what are the odds, or what percentage, let's do it that way. What percentage of people within the Salt Lake area, Salt Lake Valley or Salt Lake County area, what percentage of those people are going to move in the next year? Any idea? 25? 20? What other numbers? I should probably not leave Zoom out.
Yeah, you say in a year?
Yeah, which you guys on Zoom are feel free. I'm probably not going to keep an eye on the chat box, so feel free to unmute if you want to participate. But yes, in the next year, what percentage of the people are going to move?
I think you have 10 to 15% movement.
10 to
Like
15?
actual movement. Like
Say
25 cents.
I'd say more if you count rental to rental.
Okay,
there you
good.
go.
So let me give you here's what it is. If you go to the Census Bureau and you found out what they say is on average every year, 12% of the population moves. And that would be including the renters. So 12% is what they are saying moved. Now, so with that in mind, I'm now going to blow up for you and when I say blow up, I mean like explode. I'm going to blow up for you something you may have been taught. You may or may not have been taught this because some of you are pretty new. But have any of you ever heard this? Well, in fact, I'm just going to ask you guys this. What have you heard that if I went out and knocked on 100 doors, how many leads should I get from knocking on 100 doors? What's the number you typically hear from people say, if you knock on 100 doors, you should get X number of leads?
5, so less than 5.
Okay, so
I'm an 8%.
usually the number is 10.
I was gonna say 10, yeah.
The number
Like
that
one every 10 doors that's what I would think.
if I'm doing a lot.
That's for the newbies.
Well, typically what you're going to hear you're going to just hear this generally taught that if you knocked on 100 doors, you should get 10 leads. And of those 10 leads, you should do how many transactions?
1, 2.
That's what usually people say is 100, 10, 1. Now, what I want to do is show you where that came from. Okay, so here's where we're going to start with is basically where this whole idea came from, which is not true, by the way. This is not true. That's where we're going with this. But this is what people, yeah, this is what, well, here's why. The reason people teach it that way, when I was brand new, as a brand new agent, I went into my manager and was like, what should I do? And he finally one day said to me, if you'll knock on doors for 2 hours every day for the next 2 years, you'll never have to do it again. And I was like, okay. But what he told me is from your knocking on doors or even phone calls, if you do knock on 100 doors, you should get 10 leads and you should turn that into 1 transaction. So I then went and started to do that. Now, where that came from though is the next thing I want to show you. So where this came from is this. According to the Census Bureau, 12% of the population is in flux, meaning is going to move at any given year. But if you factor out renters, it's actually 7%. So now, out of 100 then, how many transactions out of 100 would that equate to? Okay. Logically, we would say 7, but Mom Pa Kettle would say it's 14. And the correct answer is actually 14. So why? Why is it 14, not 7? So listen to the words that I used, okay? How many transactions out of 100 would that equate to? So every home that sells, there's a buy side of the transaction and a sell side. So we end up double counting, okay? So there's your mom. That's as complex as the math's gonna get today, okay? Can we handle it? Okay, so this is basically where this came from, is rather than saying 114 and some other number, instead, it just kind of became easier to say 110, 1. Now, here's the problem with that. This sounds actually pretty good, doesn't it? Like, you don't think it does? Because here's what I'll tell you guys. When I first started, I was making 50 contacts every day. So I would do 250 contacts a week. So let's do the math on that then, if this was true. So I did 250 contacts a week, which should have been how many leads? 25, and how many transactions? If you did 2.5 transactions a week, you guys don't think that sounds pretty good?
Oh, I think it sounds fine, but who really does that?
Well, so that's my point is what you're saying, who really does the 100?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, but here's the thing. This sounds really good. I mean, because honestly, if you could every week knock on 100 doors, get 10 leads and do a transaction from that, that would be awesome. But here's the problem is we're going to do a mini class on statistics now, okay? Because here's the problem. This actually sounds pretty good, 110, 1, because then it sounds like 1 out of every 10, right? But that's not actually what this says. What this really says is this. Now, so I'm going to bring the dice back. I'll show you what I mean. How many sides to this dice?
6.
So somebody pick a number between 1 and 6. I one time said somebody pick a number and somebody said 7. So pick a number between 1 and 6 that we can use. 4. Okay. So what are the odds then? If I'm going to roll this, what are the odds that I'm going to get a 4? 1 out of every 6 times. So now let's see what happens. Okay, so there's 1. Somebody keep track of how many times I roll, just in case I forget, okay? Let's see how many we have to.
3.
Okay, oh, good job. So we only had to roll it 3 times and we got a 4. Let's try it one more time. See, so start over. So keep track again. And for you guys on Zoom, sorry you can't see, but when they say yay, you'll know I got the 4. How many have we done?
3.
Okay.
You're not going to Vegas with me.
I know, right?
Oh, there you
What?
go.
All right, let's do it one more time and see what happens, okay? What? This is where I get my squats in for the day. All right. So what's happened so far? We haven't even gotten to 1 out of 6, so this is totally messing up my class. We'll try it one more time. Here's what, when I was, the last time I taught this was in California, I don't know, a month ago or so. And I rolled it 25 times before we got to the 4. So, okay, so let's see. So I know, I was like.
Oh,
Wow.
you're
Guess I'm going to Vegas. Okay,
Yes, you are.
so here's the thing. I have had times, like I just said, where I've rolled it 25 times and still not gotten the number. So how is that possible when you guys tell me the odds are 1 out of every 6? Now, here's why. So watch. Show you this. What this really says is this. Well, let me do one other thing first. Okay. So if that was true, and I go knock on doors, okay, so I'm gonna go knock on doors. So here's 1, and he tells me no, no, 3 no's, 4 no's, 5 no's, 6 no's, 7 no's, 8 no's, 9 no's. What should happen when I get to Wanda? According to this.
Yes.
So yes.
No.
But is that really what happens?
No.
Now, why? Because, I mean, you guys just saw me roll the dice. I didn't ever even have to roll it 6
It's
times.
the same chance each time.
Okay, good. That's where we're headed.
It's less probable and a higher number doesn't mean it's not. the
But
same
there is a.
Okay, good.
Dice is not people. It's a thing.
Okay, good. So, but here's what this really says. So let me actually tell you that this, even though what I said, this actually isn't true, it probably really is true, actually. But here's the problem. We don't understand. The reason I said it's not true is because it's not true the way you understand it. The way you're logically thinking of this is not true. It is true, but this is how it's true. Because here's what this really says. The odds in this scenario are 9 to 1. So now watch what I mean by this. So if I knock on Jim's door, what are the odds that he's going to tell me either yes or no? What?
9 to 1.
9 to 1.
9 to 1. 9 being like there's a 9 times better chance that he's going to tell me no. Now, which, by the way, I am not trying to talk you out of door knocking right now, okay? But I'm just showing you how odds work. So the odds are 9 times better that he's going to tell me no. Okay, now what happened?
Same.
Same.
Now what are the odds?
Same. Still same.
Okay, so what about when I get to number 4?
Same.
Now what are they?
Same.
Now what are they?
Same.
Now what are they? Now what are they?
Same.
Okay, so now I've gone to 9. What are they on number 10?
1 is really nice, so I think you're out there better. They're the same.
8 to 1.
That's right.
They're the same each time.
See, that's the problem in an open system. In an open system, when we say, if you go knock on 100 doors, you get 10 leads, turns into 1 transaction, sounds really good. Like it sounds like if I go knock on 100 doors, I'm going to get a transaction. But then when I will tell you, I was doing 250 every week contacts, and I was not doing 2.5 transactions a month or a week.
How many you do?
About 17 for the whole year or something, but doing 250 contacts every single day. But once I understood really how odds work in an open system, so here's the key. In an open system, the odds don't get better based on the number of times you do it. Meaning, do the odds get better for me every time I roll the dice?
No.
'Cause what are the odds? Okay, I just rolled it, so now what are the odds this time?
Same.
Do they ever get better?
No.
Now, just for those that really are math conscious, let me just say one thing. There is something in math called regression towards the mean that would say the number of times, the fact that I haven't rolled it, the chances of me rolling it are going to be a little bit better. Meaning, said another way, basically what it means is this. If I rolled this dice a million times, what are the number of times the 4 is going to come up? Well, essentially, it's going to end up coming up 1 point something or point something, 0.9 something, 99 something out of each time, right? Meaning it's going to happen essentially 1 out of 6 times. But it's not going to be even if I rolled it a million times, it's not going to be exactly 1 out of 6. So there is something in math that says basically you do it enough times. Here's the problem. How long is it going to take you to get to 1 million contacts for these numbers to work out for you?
More than a week.
Yeah, more than a week, okay? So that's the problem with an open system. So now remember, our first protocol in working our sphere of influence is it's got to be a closed system. So now let's talk about, so what's a closed system then? Because what we just talked about, the problem most people at work take in approaching their sphere of influence is they approach it as a people problem as an open system. And in an open system, do the odds get better the more people you add into your database? No. And in fact, what I'm going to show you is they get worse. The more people you add, the worse it gets. That's what happened. And I'm going to prove it to you through the math. Okay. So let's now talk about a closed system. So what if, which by the way, the reason that Vegas works on this is because the owners of the casino understand odds. And guess whose favor the odds are in? Yeah.
Won the house.
The only time that Vegas is going to get hurt is like COVID, when nobody shows up. If nobody shows up, they lose. But as long as you guys show up to Vegas and you're putting your money in the machine or on the table, guess what? They win. Do they care if you hit a jackpot and the thing goes off and somebody wins $1 million? Yeah, what? Oh, I thought you said I actually won it. Like, I know you do. But here's the thing. They don't care because they understand that the odds are in their favor. And as long as people are playing the game, they win because they understand how odds work. So now, what if there was a way we could approach this? Now, don't go try this in Vegas or you'll end up dead in the desert somewhere. So don't go try it. Don't try it. Because if you could do it and it would work in Vegas, I would not be here teaching you the class. I would be there. All right. So we're going to do the same thing. Now watch what happens this time. This time we're going to see how many times I have to roll it to get a 4, but I'm going to change the rules of the game. And the way I'm changing the rules is we're going to go from an open system to a closed system. Okay. So here's how we do that. Anytime I roll a number that is not a 4, I'm going to put a sticker on it. Okay. And when I put the sticker on it, then if I roll it and the sticker comes up, it's a free throw. So I think Morgan, you were the one keeping track. So if it pops up with a sticker on it, I get a free throw. Does not count as a roll. Does that make sense? So now let's see what happens as far as rolling this dice to see how long it'll take to get a 4.
We're doing 4.
We're going to a 4. Okay. All right. So there's a 1. So now I'm going to put a sticker on it. So I've rolled it 1 time. If this sticker comes up again, then it doesn't count. I get a free throw. Okay. So we don't count it as a roll. Make sense? So I've rolled it 1 time. So there's a 3. So now we've rolled it twice. Now there's a sticker on the 3. Okay, so 3 times. I need to get a new dice. This one's not being my friend today. There we go. Okay, so free throw. Free throw. So how many times have we rolled it?
4.
So still only 4. Free throw. Cool. Okay, so how many times do we roll it to get it?
4.
Okay, so now let's do it again. Same thing. If the sticker shows up, doesn't count. Let's see how many times I have to roll it. Okay. Now let's do it again. So I only had to roll it once. Okay. So there's 1. So 5. Sorry for you guys on Zoom. I probably should have told them what number I was getting them put the sticker on. Free throw. Free throw. 4. So how many times do I have to roll it?
Once.
Twice.
Or twice, I guess.
Okay. So now everything is covered but the 4. So what's going to happen now? How many times am I going to have to roll it?
Really just
So you
one
get
time.
a 4.
One time, because that's either a free throw or the 4, right? So I now can say the odds of me getting a 4 on this are 1 to 1. Because I either get a free throw or it's the 4. How would you like to do real estate that way? Nobody's.
Yeah.
I would.
I'm like, fine, if you guys don't want to, then class is done. I'm like,
Dismissed.
do you want to do it that way or no? You don't believe you can? Where's the eraser?
Yes.
I'm like, still nothing? You want?
Yeah.
You want to know?
Party, let's do it, let's party.
Okay, Zoom, I need you guys to participate because the people here won't. Anybody on Zoom? Apparently not.
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Okay. There we go. Thank you. Now it's too loud. All right. So here's how we do this. So the way that we're going to make it a closed system is, remember what I said is, if you approach this as an open system, the more people you put in, the worse it actually is going to get. Okay. So the way we make this a closed system, the number I'm going to give to you guys today is really, I'm going to say it a different way before I give you the number. Another way of saying it has to be a closed system is it has to be fixed in size. So what does that mean?
Can't be overweight.
That's right. Good. So the number is 200. Okay. So here's what I'm telling you is, in order for this, the first, remember the protocols, these are required conditions. If you want this to work, you got to follow the protocols. First protocol is it's got to be fixed in size, it's a closed system, and the number is 200 people. So with that said, just to test you, since you guys have been so participatory, what can I have 199?
No.
Can I have 201?
No.
Okay, how many can I have?
200.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, so the first thing that has to happen is you have to have it fixed in size. Meaning, you can't have 199, you can't have 201, you have to have 200. Now, there's one caveat to that, and that is while you're growing it, you can have less while it's growing. But think of it as you're gonna grow it to 200 as fast as you can. And then once it hits 200, so some of you guys that said you got 600 people or 300 or 200 or whatever in your phone, that's where you're going to start this process. Okay. All right. So that's what we are going to do is we got to have 200 people in the system. Now, so let me just do another demonstration here for you on this. We'll do some more math here just for fun because I know you guys like it. Because math is fun. Yes. All right. So now, just for the sake of me teaching you this, we're going to use, just because to make it easy, I'm going to use a number of that we have 100. Now, because here's the thing. The rule, or excuse me, the protocol on this is what?
Fixed in size.
Or closed system, fixed in size, closed system. I don't care which way you say it. The number that I'm just telling you is 200.
Right.
The real protocol is it just has to be a closed system. It has to be fixed in size. So the truth is it doesn't really matter what the number is. What I've just found though is for you to get it working and get it up and running the way that I'm telling you for this to take place, you want to use it as 200. Once you hit this point up here, where like I said, from this point on, you can count on over a 6-digit income from it. You can change the number to anything you want, but it still has to be fixed in size. You can't vary it, okay? So I'm going to use the number of 100 here only because, so what I'm saying is I am not giving you permission to start it at 100. The number is 200, okay? If you did it at 100, it would work. I'm just telling you, it'll probably take longer than the 6 to 9 months to really get it to work. That's the reason. And what I've found is if you started it with 300, you're just going to be overwhelmed and you'll quit doing it. So 200 is the number you want to do. But just for the sake of me teaching you this process, the number is going to be 100 for right now, just to keep the math simple.
Is the 200 contacts? Sorry, I kind of missed it. That's
Nope,
200?
just 200 people.
Oh, okay, that you communicate with.
Yep, and we'll define that more in a minute.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's 200 people that are going to be in your SOI.
Oh.
Okay, so now let me explain this piece of it real quick here. So we're going to say of the people in there, your assumption is, so again, this is just another clarifying thing for you. Of the 100 people that you have in the system, how many of them, we're going to define them, the people, those 200, or in this case right now, the 100, as either green or red, okay? A green is somebody who is going to do business with you or refer business to you. A red is somebody who's not going to, okay? So what would you guess? Well, I'm not even going to have you guess. So let me just say it this way. your assumption is all 200 are green, which is why I wrote it in green up here. Is all your assumption is all 200 are green. The truth is, though, that there are going to be a number of them that are actually red. Meaning, you think they're going to either do business with you or refer it to you, but they're actually not going to. Now, why would that be? Why would it be that we think they're going to do business with us, but they're really probably never going. They may have even told you they're going to, but they're really not going to. Yes, exactly right.
All right.
Hey, Russ.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. This is Jess. I was just thinking, like, I think that boils down to when an agent is doing most of the talking and not any of the listening. When you have a contact and you're telling them they're going to refer their friends to you, and you're telling them they're going to do business with you in the how you're communicating, and you're not getting any of their feedback or any of their body language or anything like that. And so that's your assumption, but it's obviously wrong.
Oh, that Rick. No, never mind. Rick, it's good. Thanks, Jess. Yes, you're right on. In fact, I'm gonna actually do a demonstration. I found some right here. So I'm gonna show you guys why it is that you think that they're green, but they're really red. Because here's the thing, is people lie.
No.
Sorry, hate to break it to you. People lie. And your job as part of this is to get people to tell the truth. But it's not very easy. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to go out. Hey, these are your cards. No, they're not your cards. I saw Jim and I was like, hey, I got your cards in. Okay, we're going to pretend for a minute that these are my business cards. Okay. So knock, knock. Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21 and I'm just a local realtor. And I just want to know if you'd be willing to do me a favor.
Yeah.
Would you just hold on to my business card? And if you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere, have them give me a call.
Sure.
Actually, I might need to listen. You're not, you know. So my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. And would you do me a favor?
Yes.
Would you just hold on to my business card? And if you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere, have them give me a call.
Yeah.
Knock, knock. Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. And would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you hold on to my business card? And if you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere, have them give me a call.
Sure.
Awesome. Hi, my name's Russ, Century 21. Would you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you hold on to my business card? And if you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere, have them give me a call.
Sure.
Awesome. Knock, knock.
Yes, Skip.
Yes.
He doesn't.
Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. Would you do me a favor? No? Why not?
I already have some.
An agent? Oh, really? So, if I brought you a really good deal, would you be willing to?
Yeah, I might look at it.
But would you use me to buy?
Absolutely.
And okay, you would? Cool, good enough. Hi, my name's Russ. I'm with Century 21. Would you do me a favor?
Put in the garbage?
Oh.
Would you just hold on? If you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling real estate anywhere, I'll give you a call.
I'll consider it.
Okay, good. Good enough. Hi, my name's Russ, Century 21. Can you do me a favor?
Sure.
Would you hold on to my business card if you're anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere? I'm giving you a call.
Yeah.
Oh, the prospecting so easy. Would you do me a favor? Would you hold on to my business card if you hear of anybody thinking of buying or selling anywhere? I'm giving you a call. This is so fun. This is so easy. Okay, for real. If you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, refer them to me.
I have a real estate agent already.
Okay, but if I did a better job, if I brought you properties and all that, would you be willing to use me? Who's your agent, by the way?
Christina Wing with Century 21.
Oh, okay, cool. So if I hate to step on her toes, but if I brought you a really good deal, would you use me to buy it?
Depends. I'll be open to it,
Okay, good enough.
if it makes sense.
All right, for real. If you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, are you gonna have them call me?
I think about it, just I don't know.
But if you get to know me.
If.
Okay, I'll be back. If you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, you gonna have them call me?
Probably not.
Why?
Just, I'm not that motivated enough to listen and remember your name.
Okay, well, I'll be back.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, Chad, for real, if I brought you a really good deal, are you gonna use me, or if you heard of somebody thinking of buying or selling, would you refer them to me? Let me forget the good deal. Would you refer me?
You know, I have a family member that is in real estate.
You do?
Yeah, my brother.
So if you found a deal or heard of somebody thinking of buying or selling, you'd refer it to your brother.
Probably.
All right. I'll be back. All right, for real. If you have a real estate need or you hear of somebody, you're gonna refer it to me?
No,
Why?
my husband's an agent. That'd be really awkward.
Give it a clap back. For real. You hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, you gonna refer them to me?
I mean, I'm gonna say yes, just so I can get out of this conversation.
Matt, for real, if you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, you gonna refer them to me?
No.
Why? What?
Because I'm a realtor.
So wait, why didn't you tell me that before?
Well, I was just being friendly.
Oh, okay. That was very friendly. Okay, for real. For real. If you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, are you gonna refer me? Wait, hold on. Why'd you lie to me?
I just felt like mixing tobacco.
Oh. For real.
Well, you stay consistent, so yes, I will.
You will. Wow. For real.
No, because what I said is, I don't know your name.
Okay, well, what do you want to know?
You are explaining it to me and there's other realtors I know.
My name's
better.
Russ.
Yeah.
Long one for the beach.
Yeah.
And
If you get to know me, are you gonna refer people to me? And you like me?
if I like
And you okay?
it.
Good.
My brother had a career change.
Sweet, I'll be right back.
So.
I
need it right now.
Oh. I'll be back.
Yeah, so we've been
where's the
consistent, North Salt Lake.
Okay, so could we go in about an hour?
Absolutely.
Okay, sweet. And for real,
For real.
like if you know of a property in North Salt Lake that I can take you to today and you use me to buy it?
Yeah.
For real.
Because you've been consistent.
Sweet.
I had my Regression.
For real. For real.
Yeah, I mean, you've shown up.
Okay.
a few times.
What a prospector.
For real, if you hear somebody thinking of buying or selling, you refer it to Jason.
I wanna, yeah, I wanna stay married.
For real.
Yeah.
For real. For real.
If I wanna, do I wanna buy through you?
Yes.
What's your name again?
Oh my God.
You're doing so great out there, Russ.
So for real though, if you hear somebody thinking of buying or selling, are you gonna let me do it? For real.
You know what? I will hang on to your card. I'll hang on to it.
Oh, what does that mean?
She won't put it in
No, I know you're gonna hang on to the card, but are you, if you hear somebody thinking of buying or selling, or you decide to, will you let me do it? For real.
Well, what's in it for me?
Great
What- and what's
service.
the catch?
Take the long
Cash. I'm just trying to generate transactions. So for real,
For real.
for real,
For real.
for real.
You know what? I like you, Russ.
So yes. I'll be back.
Oh my God.
I have one agent in California that shows up to this class, not because of he wants to, I mean, he does want to learn it, but just because of this exercise. You'll see why here. For real. For real.
Yeah.
For real. For real.
Yes, I
Okay.
will. Yeah,
For real.
No,
Why?
because I told you I don't know you.
Once you get to know me, will you refer people to me? For real. For
If-
real.
Yes, if for real.
Okay, For real. For real.
Yeah.
For real. We gonna go write an offer today for real?
Yes.
100%. And if we don't, you'll give me
Well,
$2,000.
We'll look at. I'd like to see the house first.
Okay. But for real. For real. For real. Alright. I'm still not sure.
A conflict of
Well,
interest.
for real.
For real,
But for real, are you gonna let Jason do it? For real?
yeah.
For real?
Yeah, he's a good agent.
Well, I know he's a good agent, but are you gonna let him do it if you knocked on somebody's door? No, let me change it. You walk out of the building today. You're walking out and somebody comes in and goes, is this Century 21? and they say, and you say, yeah, it's just here, and they say, oh, good, because I need to sell my house, and like, it's fire sale, I need to sell it really quick. You're gonna call Jason and have him do it,
Absolutely.
for real,
Yeah.
why?
Pay for our vacation. Just like I do.
Alright, for real. If you walk out today and that same person, Melissa ignored him, so.
No, I
For real, you walk out the door today and somebody says, I need to list my house. You're gonna refer it, you're gonna go, yeah, let's go in, let me introduce you to Russ, he'll help you. For real.
I mean, if I have my card
For-
with me.
Wait, what do you mean? Hold on, what do you mean if you have your card with you? Like, for real, are you gonna refer him to me? For real?
Yes, okay.
All right. I'll be back. Get out of here, yes. All right, I may have to help you guys out here. For real. For real. If you're walking out the door today and somebody says, I need to buy or sell, you're gonna go, yeah, Russ is in there, go get him.
Yeah, I'll give
For
them
real.
a business card, yes.
All right. For real. For real, for real, for real.
No.
Why? 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 They don't know you.
Yeah, same answer.
No. But if you got to know me, would you refer him to me?
If, but okay, what are the odds with the if happens?
Resist interrogation.
For real.
No.
No,
Why?
Russ, I'm my own agent.
That's it. Yeah, they're trying to help you on Zoom now. Okay,
I'm
why?
my own agent.
So for real, if you walk out the door today and you see somebody that needs to buy or sell, you're gonna refer it to me. Why?
Like he's asking us.
Thank you. Why? Why? Because why?
I'm an agent.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes.
When did you get real estate? When did you get licensed?
3 years ago.
What? Hold on. What? So wait, why did you lie to me?
I just want to keep
So
going.
hold on. Guess what happens when you call people and you say, for real, would you use me? And they, oh yeah, I would use you. Guess what they're doing? Remember what this whole conversation was about? Remember what I said? I know you guys are like, I don't remember it. I said to you guys, so it's easy to get people to lie. It's hard to get them to tell the truth. Remember I said that? And I still haven't gotten the truth from some people. So thank you. Chad, for real, are we gonna go right off for today? Whoa, hold on, whoa, wait, what? What? Wait, why did you lie? That helped a ton. That helped me a ton, didn't it?
Russ,
No, for real, why did you lie to me?
something happened to the audio. We can't barely hear you.
I was just about to say the same.
Every time that these guys laugh, it does something weird to the microphone, so.
Oh,
Know that I'm still saying the same things over and over again. For real. I just keep saying for real. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what it is, something with this mic. When everybody laughs, it will get quiet for a minute, but it's probably back now, right?
yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay. Michelle. For real. If you hear somebody today buying or selling, are you gonna refer them to me? For real.
You know what?
For real.
You've been here so many times and I feel terrible. My conscience. My conscience.
Conscience.
My conscience has caught up with me and I have to tell you the truth. I'm an agent.
Okay, so why did you lie?
Because I'm a terrible person.
So wait, hang on, I want you guys to hear what he's about to say, because this is important.
Truth will set you free.
Okay, so make sure you're here. Okay, go ahead. I think I know what you're gonna say.
I just want to avoid you. I want you just go away. So I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear to get you
Good.
to go away.
So you're gonna tell, guess what happens when you're prospecting?
I do the same thing.
People tell you what you want to hear, so you'll go away. So Melissa, for real, are you gonna refer it to Jason or are you gonna do it yourself? For real?
Just say no.
I'm gonna have Jason help me.
Okay, see, I really should have not role playing right now. That's the reason I skipped
No,
you
that
guys,
makes
because
so much sense
you're
now.
not licensed, so
Yeah.
you would have been like, yeah, I'll refer it to you. So maybe I should have, if you hear somebody.
My parents are agents, Russ.
What do you do? All right, did I get, oh, I did, wait. Okay, hold on, we're not done yet, though, so I still got 2 more people that I'm not sure of. For real, if you hear somebody thinking of buying or selling, you're gonna refer them to me?
No.
Why? Why?
Because I'm an agent.
So you lied to me.
I mean, I kind of like the cat and mouse chase. No,
Why?
because,
Don't say for the same reason.
Say.
because I have
Because
agents
I'm
that I
gonna-
have a better relationship.
No, that's not true.
I
Do you have your real estate license?
I do.
So are you gonna refer the people to them?
It depends.
On what? On what?
How well we work together.
Well, then you and I are gonna get to know each other really good. All right.
I already know her, sorry.
Okay. So now let me come back to, let me get, where did I put my markers? Where did I set? Okay, remember I said to you, wait,
I gotta go.
now because your parents are agents, you're leaving?
That's the ultimate no.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just teasing.
She's
Yeah.
like, "Oh, yeah, I
I'm
hate stress.
teasing.
Thanks
You're
for the
welcome.
laughs."
Okay, you're welcome. I know. Even if you don't learn anything, you got a good laugh today, right? Okay, so remember I said you think all 100 are green, but a percentage of them are really red. Now you know why they're, because some of the people that you're going to be thinking are green, they're really red the same way you guys just were to me.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you yes just so that you'll go away.
That's right.
Or because they like the chase. They like the fact that you keep calling them. It's like, that's kind of fun when they call me. So I like it.
I'm loving
But-
it. What does
I'm
yours-
retired.
Yeah, that's, yeah, they're retired and have nothing else to do.
Somebody to talk to.
Okay, so now we're gonna get to the math. Remember, there's 4 protocols and we've been an hour, a little over an hour, and we've done 1. So buckle up. No, I'm just kidding. The other ones go faster. All right, so here's the thing. So we're gonna say, just for the sake of cuz, that 50 of the people in there are green and 50 are red. Okay, so 50 are green or 50 are red, meaning 50 of them will do business with you or refer business to you. The other 50 are you guys that lie. They're you liars.
You're the liars.
I know what I should have done. I'm sorry. I probably should have said for real. Maybe if I would have said for real, then you guys would have known, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, if I would have said for real.
That would be
Next
really
time I'll
good.
make sure I say for real. For real, for real. Okay, I'm just teasing. Okay, that is one of my favorite parts too, of this class, by the way, but. All right, so you got 50 that are green or 50 are red. Let's say you go out and prospect. However, I don't care, internet lead, door knock, open house, I don't care what it is. You go prospect. You get 10 new leads. Now, from those 10 new leads, how many of them, we're gonna pretend for a minute that we had a crystal ball and we could look into the future. How many of those 10 will end up being green, meaning they'll either do business with you or refer business to you? And how many will end up being red? Okay, let's do that. Let's do 2. So I got 10 new leads. And again, when I add them, they're all green. Like in my mind, they're all green, but we're going to pretend that we had a crystal ball and could see into the future. Then we wouldn't add the other 8 if we could. But because we don't, we add all 10. But it turns out 2 of them will end up being green. The other 8 end up being red. Okay, so now I need somebody to get out their calculator for me for a minute here, because I'm going to show you the problem with an open system right now. So we now have 110 people in the system. 58 being red, 52 being green. Now, when we started this whole thing, our odds were 50-50. So now what are they? Somebody do the math of 58 divided by 110 and tell me what the percentage is, or the 50. It's what? 53? Okay. So look what just.
You're on mom, Pop.
Yeah, because what did you say?
She said 14.
Oh, 14. You were like, hey, I just assumed every answer is 14 today when it does math, right? All right, which means that this is now 47. So now look what just happened. What just happened?
What's your?
Odds have decreased.
There are less odds in your favor.
Okay, good. Now, but there's more to it than even that. Notice what happened is my workload just went up by 10%. I increased the amount of work I'm going to have to do by 10% to get 3% less. This is why I'm telling you, when people look at it as get as many people into a database as you can, this is what happens.
Will you
'Cause-
say that again?
Yep, okay. So at the start of the month, my workload was 100 people. Now it's 110 people. So I just increased the amount of work I have to do by 10%, right? So I got to work 10% harder to end up with 3% less. Tell me your name.
Christian.
Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, because you said you were capping the closed system at 100, and you added 110. The only way it would be beneficial for you to add in this case is if it was over 5.
Yeah, good. So hold that for a minute. Yeah, you're right on. Hold it for a minute.
In high school. math.
Yeah, you're good. Hold it. You're right on, but hold that for a minute. Okay, so here's what I'm saying. So just stick with me for a minute. So my workload just went up by 10%, right? You good with that?
Because you added the 10.
Because I got 10 more
And the
people.
2.
So what?
Nothing.
I'm with you, just go.
Right, okay, so I didn't know you were counting those 2. Okay. got it.
Yeah, so sorry. So yes, the number of greens got better, but the percentage of greens got worse.
Oh, because only 2
Like
of
more
them became green and 8 of them.
8 of them became red.
Got it.
Okay, so that's where I'm saying, I'm gonna have to work, I'm gonna work 10% harder to get 3% less return on my time invested. So now imagine if we just kept doing that. Let's just say every single week, I got 2 more and 8 more here. So then the next week it'd be 54 here and another 8 here, 64 there. So the percentage is just going to keep getting worse and worse. So these people have 4,000 people in a database. So here's what I'm saying. There is a trainer out there that, and this sometimes even gets repeated in our company too, that says you should get a 10 to 15% return off of your database. Well, if that's true, these top agents that have 4,000 people in a database, if they were going to get just a 10% return, they should do how many transactions a year off of 4,000? And do you think they do 400 transactions? No, they don't. So that's where I'm kind of going, it sounds great, but it's not really true to say you're going to get a 10 to 15% return. So now, what's our number 1 protocol up here?
Closed system.
So can I have 110?
No.
I have to go back to 100.
Yeah.
So should I get rid of any of the green?
No.
But should I get rid of some red?
Yeah.
So what happens now then? So now let's do it. And now we'll talk about how to do this in just a minute. So now I get rid of 10 red. So now I have 48 red, 52 green for a total of 100. So now what are this is why I used 100, because now I don't need you guys to get out your calculator. Because now look at what just happened.
It's just like higher value.
Well, notice I have the same amount of work.
But like taking away the lower value people. I mean, it's
That's
how the
right.
relationship goes.
Yep. So what happened is I have the same amount of work for a 2% better return. So now let's just hypothetically say that we did just the opposite. We got 10 leads, and if we looked into the future, 8 of them were going to end up either referring business or doing it with us. Watch what happens now. So now, oops, wrong color. We add 8. So now I'm at 60% here. I add 2 here, so I'm at 50, which so now I'm at 110 again. So what do I have to do? I got to get rid of 10 of these. So now look what just happened is now I still have 100, but 60% are green, 40% are red. Look what happens. Same amount of work. Look what. So what's going to happen if every month I just keep adding people and getting rid of the bad ones?
More solid system.
That's what's going to what would happen if I just kept doing that?
It would just be a system of green.
Okay, now let me actually preface this by saying you will probably never hit 100% green. It's possible, but it's very unlikely you're ever going to get to 100% green. Now, here's why. And forgive me for saying this, but people die. They get their real estate license. Some of these, well, in fact, actually, I have had 2 different times in this class that, and I haven't talked about this agent yet, but I will. There's the agent that I trained in this who does it the very, very best is a gal by the name of Tonya Messina. Does anybody know who Tonya is?
I'm under contract with her.
Oh, you're doing a transaction with her?
Yeah.
Okay. She's an awesome agent too.
Yeah, I've worked with her in the past.
But her, so you should ask her about if she still, ask her, say, do you still work your SOI as a jelly bean jar? Just ask her that.
I'm gonna have to write that down because I'm not gonna
Just,
remember.
well, because the way I trained her on it, I used to train this, and I actually was thinking the other day, I got to do this again, is I used to bring in 2 jelly bean jars. So I had jars that had jelly beans in it. One that was at the 97% to the 1% kind of a thing, or excuse me, 97 to 3%. And then one that was 60-40. Because here's the thing, once you get this system to be that you've got 60% is green, is when this takes place. But it takes you that few months to get it to that point, because you're gonna, and I'll show you how you're gonna be doing that next. But Tonya Messina, she had her number of people, her closed system, and you can ask her if she says yes, she's doing it, which she will. Ask her how many people in her thing. It used to be 97 was what her number was. She had 97 people, and her income, at least, I don't know what it is currently, but it was over $300,000 a year from 97 people.
Back
Because
when the commissions were a lot lower.
and the commissions were a lot lower too. Yeah. So this is why closed system. Can you see by making it a closed system, it forces you to having a higher percentage of green?
So just in looking at this, whether it's SOI or whether it's the leads that I get every day, it doesn't matter. It's just whether it's a closed or an open system. I think with the leads that I'm getting every day right now, it's an open system, and I'm already falling into this to where like my task list is just growing, and it's like it's ridiculous. So when I leave tonight, I'm going through my open leads. What?
Because you're excited.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better.
No, but
gets better.
like, no, but whether it's SOI or whether it's
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
or just leads that I
Anyway,
get, doesn't matter.
Nope. Nope. What you want to do is just have 200 people.
Right.
That, so actually, let me introduce, well, no, I'm gonna wait. Let me finish this first. And then I'll come back to protocol number 2. Go ahead.
So I guess I'm a little bit confused. So like, let's say you have a CRM and you have your 200 people in there. You like literally do not add more than 200 contacts in your CRM that you use, that you're sending drips out
Correct.
to and stuff.
Correct,
Unless you
because
deploy your rep.
you can only have 200.
I honestly though, I think you could send drips. But I only want to focus my attention on
Like-
200.
Well, yeah, if you put someone in
That
a
was my
red, you put them
question.
in a drip campaign.
Yeah,
100%.
put them in a drip campaign, let the drip.
So
campaign-
here's my only concern with that. You can do whatever you want to do. Like,
Sure.
I want to preface it with, like, there was a company in California that some agents, of course, this is California, keep in mind, that sued the company because they said, I thought I was an employee. And so like, because of that, then like companies for a long time were like, we would start every class for a number of years by saying, you guys are independent contractors. You don't have to do anything I teach you in this class. So back to that, you can do whatever you want.
Right.
But my only concern with that, so yes, you can do it. My only concern is you got to be very, very careful that they don't become one system. If they become one system, then it's no longer protocol number 1's out the door. So you can do it however you want. For me personally, once they were red, they were gone
So sorry,
for
I'm
me.
not,
But you can do it however you want. Go ahead.
I'm not trying to beat a dead horse.
No,
I
you're
just want
good.
to make sure I understand.
good.
So like, for instance, I have Boomtown, and like I can label my, my leads and my people in there. So if I had, like, I could label some as my SOI, my 200 SOI, and then I know these are the people I focus on. And then I have, but you're
I
saying
know how
just
I'm
be
gonna answer it.
careful.
Let me answer it this way. Watch this. I'll do it right here.
Comment on that?
Yes. As long as it fits in with what I'm teaching.
I've done it the other way. What did you say?
I'm just kidding. I said, as long as it fits into what I'm teaching, yes.
I've done it the other way and I totally get lost and my time is
Yes.
not spent
Well,
quality. So
It
if you
becomes
keep it
this.
at the 200, you've got quality time you're spending with
Yes.
quality people, and that's all you could really handle.
Yep.
You won't believe if you're doing everything he says, those 200 people, you do several things with them. And if a few are gonna fall out, you put a few more in. But if you do more than 200, it boggles your mind. It really does. That system
Yeah.
works
Well,
if you
this-
do everything to the green.
Right, and I think this will help too. Think of it this way. There are 4 groups of people, even though I've only got 3 here. There are 4 groups of people. You've got your clients, the people that you have signed agreements with, meaning a buyer, broker, and exclusive right to sell, are clients, okay? Then you've got over here is prospects. So don't hear this as that you can quit. And I know this isn't what you're saying, but I want to make sure everybody's clear. Doing this doesn't mean you quit prospecting. You use your prospecting as a way to then put the people into this. So think of it as you're going to continue to prospect, whether it's door knock, open house, internet leads, it doesn't matter what it is. You're going to continue to do that. But what you're doing though is think of it this, and this will make more sense as I give you the other protocols, which we'll get to pretty quickly here. But the purpose of your prospecting is to figure out who to put over here. So when you're talking about your task list, is ultimately what you're wanting to do is figure out from that task list as you're calling through doing your prospecting, and it doesn't matter what it is, internet lead, door knock, open house, for sale by owner, expired, I don't care what it is. You're prospecting to figure out, is that person better than any of the 200 you have? Are they more likely to do business with you or refer business to you than any of these people? That the whole point of your prospecting is to find who can you figure out to put in here and get rid of somebody that's not, that they are that the prospect is better than. Does that help?
Yeah. So there could very possibly be some days that you don't add anyone to your SOI.
100%.
But there could be some days you add 10 people and you take out 10 people.
Correct. The key is the closed system.
Right.
The key is if you're going to add those people in, you got to ask yourself, are they better than any of the 200 I already have? And if the answer is yes, add them and get rid of that other person. So think of it this way. When you first start this, the threshold to getting in is bless you, is really, really low. Like if they're breathing, they get in to begin with. But then if we go back to Tonya Messina, like you're not getting into her database unless you're like doing it. Yeah, you, which good. And that's that. Now, so now I'll go to protocol number 2. Thank you. That was a good
That's
segue.
really what happens to agents that are in the business for a long time, is it naturally goes to this.
Yeah, they intuitively do something like this, but so meaning those people that say they have 4,000, they don't really have, like they have 4,000 because it sounds impressive. They don't really have 4,000. They only work a small number. Okay, so protocol number 2. Of these 200 people, you have to have permission from all of them. You have to get permission from every one of them to be in the data, into your thing. So let me give you that. Here's what permission sounds like. I have a select group of people that I stay in touch with about real estate. I would like to add you to that list. Like that's how difficult the script is. But you do want to say it as, because somebody said, I don't know who said it, if it was Morgan that said exclusive, was it you? Yeah. So to some extent, by me saying I have a select group of people is my way of saying this is exclusive. Okay. I have a select group of people that I stay in touch with about real estate, and I would like to add you to that list. That's basically your script. Okay. So now let's talk about it. So every one of you has a number of contacts in your cell phone right now. This is where I would recommend you start this. Go through every single person in your phone, start calling them, and you want to say something along the lines of this. So I'll pretend I'm calling Jim. So ring, ring.
Hello.
Hey, Jim, this is Russ. How you doing?
Good, Russ. How are you?
Good. Hey, I know I've been doing real estate for the last 25 years, right?
I do.
So one of the things that I've decided though is I want my business to be primarily referral dependent. So I'm going to put together a select group of people that I stay in touch with about real estate, and I'd like to add you to that list. Would that be okay?
Sounds fair.
For real? No, I'm just kidding. Don't say for real. Yeah, don't say for real. Okay, would that be okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So basically what that means is that I'm going to send you an email once a month, and then I'll just give you a call just periodically to check in and see if you have any questions and if there's anything I can help you with. Is that going to be okay?
Yeah, sounds fair.
Perfect. What would be the email address to send it to?
Blah, 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 blah.
Okay, and I've already got his phone number, obviously, right? Okay, basically that's what you're gonna do. Now, what if I called him and he says, well, no, I'll go back to Isabel. That she goes, well, my parents. So if I would have called her, so
Right.
dang, we're gonna have to tell her she shouldn't have left. So if I called her and she says, well, you know, Russ, I don't know if you knew, but my parents are real estate agents. Then here's what I would have said. Hey, that's awesome. I didn't know that. So, but let me ask you, if you heard of, so I understand if, you know, you would have to use your parents, I get that. But if you heard of somebody, would you be willing to refer them to me, or do you feel obligated to refer them to your parents? And if she says, no, I would still feel obligated to send them to my parents. Awesome. Hey, I appreciate it. And I appreciate you telling me. I didn't realize your parents were agents, whatever, you know, you can then chit chat and then hang up, but don't add them to the list.
No, she's cherry red.
That's right. She's cherry red. So that's how you're going to handle it. Now, what if I call and they just flat out said no? Then they're red. But here's the good news about that. Right now, those people that are in your phone, you assume if they had a transaction, they would use you. And then when they don't use you, you're going to be like, I can't believe they didn't use me. Part of the problem with that is they don't know you want their business. So let me tell you a quick story on that.
They haven't heard from you either.
Yeah, I got a guy that, this was years ago, when a lot of you guys know my oldest son, Douglas, he's an agent here. But when he was playing baseball, he was probably 8 or 9 years old. I was coaching with a guy that lived in our neighborhood. And all of a sudden, one day I see a for sale sign in his front yard. And I called him up. His name was Tracy, which his wife's name was Tracy too. So Tracy and Tracy, which the way we kept track of him was, he was Trace he and she was Trace she. So when my wife and I were talking, we would say Trace he said, and that way you knew which one you were talking about. But anyway, one day there's a for sale sign in his yard. So I call up Trace he and I said, hey, like I just saw a for sale sign, like what's going on? And he's like, yeah, my work's transferring me to Texas. And so I got to leave. And he said, and I didn't call you because my work told me I had to use one of their agents. Well, the sign that was in the front, I was with Coldwell Banker at the time. The sign that was in his front yard was Coldwell Banker. And I said, well, you realize like I'm with Coldwell Banker and I could have helped you. Oh, I had no idea. I totally would have used you. Now, the next week, that agent held an open house at his house. The next week, my neighbor 2 doors down had the same agent's for sale sign in their front yard. And I went over to their house and knocked on the door and said, hey, what are you guys doing? Oh, we got a job transfer. We got to move. Well, why are you using, and I won't tell you the agent's name because she might know her. But I said, why are you using her? And they said, well, she held an open house and we went over there and we just figured she could help us. Both of those houses at the time were probably worth $500,000. And I'm like watching going, okay, I just missed out on a lot of money.
And they were in your backyard.
They what?
They were in your backyard. Your backyard?
Oh, yeah. They were just right there. Yeah, exactly. So here's my point. Unless you've told the people in your phone you want to help them, you need their help, that kind of stuff's going to happen. So start with the people you know. Now, let's talk about, so what about the people I don't know? So if I'm on the phone prospecting and I come across somebody who's no, like your primary objective in prospecting is what? Thank you. Hallelujah. I got one person. So let me ask again. Your primary objective in prospecting is what? Okay, good. Then what's my secondary objective?
Get an application. That's right.
Yeah, if I cannot get them as to set an appointment, my secondary objective is I want to try to put them into this database. Now, again, remember, you're going to build this up to 200. So to some extent, recognize early on, like as you're at 100 and you get 110, I'm not saying go get rid of these people necessarily. We will talk about that in just a minute. But I'm not saying you get rid of them right away. But as soon as you hit 200, you do. Okay. Now, So if I'm just prospecting, I'm gonna first try to get an appointment, but if I can't, then I'm gonna say, I have a select group of people that I stay in touch with about real estate, and I'd like to add you to that list. Would that be okay? And then they're gonna say, yes, great. What that means is I'm gonna send you an email once a month, and then I will give you a call periodically. The truth is, we're gonna call them probably once a month, but I'm not gonna, if you say that, it's gonna feel overwhelming to them. So I'm just gonna say, I'm gonna call you periodically and touch base to see if you have any questions. And then I'll show you what that looks like too in just a sec. Okay, so are we good with, you gotta have permission from every single one of the people? We good with that?
Yep.
Okay, number 3 then, which we've just been talking about, is you have to have contact with them 1 time per month by email or mail or a combination. So you can do email 2 months and then a mailing 1 month. You can do all email, you can do all mail, like whatever, however you want to do it. But you need to send something to them once a month. My recommendation, it doesn't matter what it is, but I will give you my recommendation. My recommendation is we now have the Moxie Engage system. Go on to Moxie Engage and put them into there and put them on the neighborhood news. Subscribe them to the neighborhood news. That's what because then once a month, and you can do it as the parameters. So let me tell you how I did it. When I was doing this, once I hit the 200, my number I changed it to was 150. And so part of how you're going to decide what this number really becomes is if I have 200, so let's just make the math easy. I got 200 people in my database, and I am going to have to call them once a month. And let's assume there's 20 working days in a month. There's more, but let's assume there's 20. That means I got to call how many people every day? 10. So ultimately, what you're going to do once you hit the 200 is you decide how many people you're going to call that you want to call on a daily basis. So let me go back to Tonya Messina again for a minute. Tonya's was 97 because she looked at her month calendar for the month, and at the time her kids were very young. I don't know how old they are now because it's been 15 plus years, but so her kids are 15 plus years older than they were. But at the time she was like, okay, I'm going to go be at the school and I got to do this. And so she kind of just figured out on this day I can make this many SOI calls, on this day I can make this many. And then at the end of the month, she calculated, oh, 97. Okay, there's my number. Then she went through the group of 200 to say, who are the top 97 that I'm going to keep? And she figured out who to keep. Okay. Now, let me tell you one other thing real quick on this, as far as the green. My best one that I had in there was my best friend growing up. He, if you're familiar with, out in West Valley, there's some townhouses that are called Balmoral. Anybody familiar with? Oh, okay. But it's about 5,600 west and probably like 3,100-ish south. But he moved into there, and they were brand new. So all these townhouses were brand new. He moved into there, and his wife, I don't know what the correct term is. She cut my hair. What do you call that person?
Stylist.
No,
Stylist. There we go. That's what it is. Like, yeah, or beautician, I don't know, whatever, hairstylist. She cut my hair.
Oh, cosmetologist.
Yeah,
That's
whatever
what
we
I
want to
call
call it. I don't know. So she would cut my hair. So every 5 to 6 weeks, I would go, and she did it there at their townhouse. So every 5 to 6 weeks, I would go get my hair cut. Well, after I had done that for a little while and I had started this process with them, what I started to notice is every time I went to get my hair cut, oh, which by the way, so my best friend moved in there and then they made him the bishop of that ward. And so he was the bishop. She cut the hair for most of the ladies that were in that complex. So between the two of them, they knew everything about every person in that complex because of him being the bishop and she cut hair for most of the women in there. So almost every time I would go get my hair cut, she would be like, oh, you need to call this person because they just graduated from the University of Utah and got this job that they're moving to here. So you need to go help them get, like, I sold so many of those townhouses because almost every time I'd go get my hair cut. See, ideally, imagine if you had 200 people that were like, her name was Terry, that were like Terry. That just like every month when you called them, they're like, yep, here's the 3 people you need to call this month. What would happen to your business if you, and you can create that. That's the good news, because guess what? If they're not meeting that criteria, you just get rid of them. Because anybody that you put in would be better than the person who's lying to you. They keep saying they're gonna refer and they don't, or whatever, right? Are you following me?
Yeah.
That's what this does, is you just consistently, and so back to Tonya Messina again, that's why I was 97 people. She was generating a huge income because all of the people in there. That's so now, which I don't think I finished saying this. I've had 2 different times in this class that I've been teaching it and that I bring up her name and people will say, I thought you were going to say I'm in her list, because I've had 2 different times that people are like, I was in that list. And that's why I'm here now, is I was referring so many people to her. I finally decided I should go get my license. So that's what you kind of want. That's the other reason you'll never get to 100%, is because people will move, they'll get their license, they die, whatever, that's what's going to happen. Okay. So you're going to email, mail, and personal contact once a month. So you're going to have some type of a personal contact with them once a month as well. Did he say, Mom, I really don't want to be a real estate agent. Get me out of here.
He's like, let's go get snacks. I need to go potty. I want to get out of here. I'm like, okay, let's go. We'll be right back.
Okay, you're good. All right. So now with this, you can either talk to them in person, you can call them on the phone, you can send a text message. So any of those are fine. It's just only once a month. So like, for example, if these are people somebody you see at the gym every single day, you don't ask them every single day, do you know of anybody thinking of buying or selling? But once a month you do that, okay? And that's it. The rest of the time, you don't bring it up unless they do, outside of the once a month. Once a month, you bring it up to them. The rest of the time, if it's people you see at the gym all the time, you only once a month, you're the instigator. If they bring it up, fair game, okay? All right, any questions on this?
If they bring it up, would you count that as your once a month? Or would
You could, yeah, you could, for sure. Yes.
Just wondering if there's certain personalities that are better to add to this list than others. Like, would a driver not pan out as well as an expressive?
Depends on how you, the
I think
rapport you
that-
build.
I think that's gonna be subjective too, though, because inadvertently, I've got this list going on. I have a massive amount of people that I need to get off of it. But like the people that I deal with a lot, like I think of my Georgia agents, right? Massive drivers. I mean, I've got one that almost put Rick to shame. And seriously, I mean, this guy is like, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. But they continue to refer, and that's why they would make that list. So I don't think it's so much personality driven, because an amiable that knows everybody would be an amiable. They would be almost better because they're so friendly. They would know everybody in everybody's lives, where drivers just like deal after deal after deal. So I think, I mean, the way I'm taking this, Russ, and maybe I'm oversimplifying, but prospecting, you're casting this huge net to get the fish in, and then from there you're sorting out what you want.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're working what you want, and that net just keeps getting cast for prospecting. But I mean, I can see where by implementing this today, I can get rid of half of the busy work that I've been doing, like half of it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I would have to go back and look at my list to try to, because I never paid that close of attention, so I don't know.
was curious if anybody ever had feedback.
I haven't.
Well, I
Yeah.
do think too, like there are personality types that are more likely to lie to you.
Yeah.
You know, like on the phone,
Yes.
amiable is more likely
To say
like,
yes.
Everything
Yes,
focused
to
there.
get you
yeah,
off the
definitely
phone.
get me on your list, you know, when they might not pan out,
Yeah.
so.
Did she convince you to come back?
I'm not talking to
Use
you.
the bathroom.
I thought you were bringing
Got a
snack.
cat,
I just
we're-
teased you.
we're good now.
I'm trying to
In
convince him to
addition
be
to
the
that,
youngest.
like, on my kind of SOI list, when I'm reviewing it, I specifically try and think about where they're at in their life. Like some of my SOI people are in my neighborhood right now, there's a really nice apartment complex. Well, that lease is gonna come up soon. So are they potentially gonna buy, or are they gonna re-up on their lease agreement? So that's where I'm kind of thinking, I'm in this neighborhood to where it's a really transition neighborhood from apartments to smaller single-family homes. And then you get those people that are wanting to make not their first you know, first time home buyer type thing, but then they want to upgrade to that next house. And so that's how I kind of am kind of looking at my SOI is what's going on in their life. And there have been some that have chosen some other agents, and that's fine. They're now red.
Yep, perfect.
You know,
Which that's a good segue. That's where we're headed next. So what is the purpose then of us making this contact once a month? What would be our reason for doing it?
Keeping front of mind.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let me say this. The purpose of remember I said to you, keep coming back here until it's working for you. This is one of the first ways that you will forget what you're supposed to do. And what I mean is this, the purpose of the phone call is actually counterintuitive, which counterintuitive means is the opposite of what you would think. So what do you think the purpose of your call will be? Because it's
Plant
not
seeds
that.
and grow the roots.
Yeah, and it's not that. It's the opposite of that. So what would be the opposite of that?
To eliminate them from the list.
That's right.
Get them, put them to red.
So the purpose of your phone call is not to set an appointment. It's not to find out if they're green. The whole purpose of you calling them, so number 4 protocol, is to look for red. And so what I'm saying with that is, this is where what happens is if you don't keep this in mind, you'll end up calling people trying to convince them to be green, basically. You'll call them thinking you're planting seeds. You're calling them thinking you're doing all that. The whole purpose of the phone call is to figure out who's red. So now how am I going to figure out who's red?
Yeah.
Questions. You gotta ask the questions.
Okay, good. And so let's do some obvious ones. You call them up and they say, don't ever call me again. That's red.
Yeah.
Okay, but as you guys already saw, and the whole reason I do that demonstration is it's hard to get people to tell the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Because once no, yeah, I'm going to refer you. I promise I will. Like they will say, so you're not going to call and do that for real. Like you're not going to do that. But so how am I going to know if they're red? I mean, the obvious one is they're going to call you or you're going to call and they're going to say, don't ever call me again. Now, here's the other side of that though. If I'm looking for a red and I find one, should I be happy or sad?
Happy. In truth, you should be very happy.
You should be very, very happy. So part of this is to change the way you're approaching it, because when somebody says, hey, yeah, don't call me anymore, you should not feel rejected. You should be like, finally, they told me the truth. Thank you. Kind of like what I did to you guys when I'm like, hey, so why did you lie to me? Well, because I just wanted you to move on. Oh, well, I feel much better now that you lied to me, right? I would rather get people to tell me the truth. That, hey, we're not going to ever use you. So don't ever call us again. Okay, great. There's a difference of that. If you're calling looking for green, now you feel bad and you hang up and you don't prospect the rest of the day. You don't call anybody else because you feel bad. Now you're like, hallelujah, finally, I got the truth out of them. I can get rid of them. Because guess what? What happens as soon as you get rid of them?
You replace them with somebody.
Your percentage gets better.
No matter who you replace them with is going to be better than they were.
Yeah.
So your percentages just went up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so how else am I going to know they're red? You drive, if they're in your neighborhood like mine, you drive by and there's a for sale sign in their front yard. That happens, they're red. Okay, just so you know. Now, the good news is that doesn't happen very often with these people because you're staying in touch with them. So how else am I going to know they're red?
They haven't given you things. Like,
Okay, good. So
they
part of
haven't
it,
moved forward with any business referrals or their own business, right?
yeah, so good. So part of that's going to be like I might, after I've contacted them for a year and they've never referred anybody to me, I might start to go, they might be yellow. You know, I'm not sure yet. But one second. So part of it could be that of you just going, okay, I'm going to give them, and you can decide on the time frame. But I would say somewhere around a year. But here's the thing, you might even want to go longer than a year. What if I had 200 people in there and I only got a referral from, and when I say a referral, I mean one that closed. I get a referral that closes from each one of them only once every 4 years. How many transactions would I do per year on average?
Wait, what?
okay, if I had 200 people and I only got one deal from each person that closed in a 4-year period, how many deals would that be each year? Say it out loud, Derek.
50.
Yes.
Thank you.
50.
Not that fast.
Did you say 14 again? I'm just kidding. So, yeah, that would, anybody have a problem with doing 50 transactions in the next year? Like, so I guess what I'm saying is you could even say, I'll give them up to 4 years before they don't refer somebody. Like, I wouldn't go that long, but imagine if you actually did go you could go 4 years and be like, hey, you didn't give me a deal, I'm getting rid of you. And you still should be doing 50 transactions or close to that. So to me, somewhere around a year is where I would start to go, maybe I shouldn't keep it.
So if I get you right, I will give them the 4-year period if I'm not up to my 100.
Yes.
If I'm like
Yeah.
say 150.
Yeah, until you get to the 200, I wouldn't, if they say don't ever call me, then take them out.
It's not such an exclusive list. Until
Yeah, it's not so exclusive till you hit the 200.
And then my second question to you is,
Yeah.
when your neighbors were not using you for their transaction, were you doing that contact per month,
No,
talking
I
to
hadn't.
them, all of that jazz?
I had not started doing this yet.
Okay.
I didn't know this system at that time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because since then, after that, so since I started doing training, so for probably the last maybe 12 years now, I haven't done this at all. But so let me give you actually the good news with that. I still have people that call me off of my list that go, hey, you need to call this person, or here's a transaction, like whatever, that I haven't done this in over 12 years, but I did it long enough that those people still think of me to call when it's, so yeah. Since when I started doing that, it was very rare that a listing would pop up that I didn't know about, because I had so many people in the neighborhood that were either watching out for me or whatever. So, yeah. Good. What other questions? Okay, you're welcome. Okay, so on the red, let me just do the last piece on the red, and then I'm going to show you how we get to this over 6-digit income that I was talking about. So the other way you're going to know they're red is when you call, if what happens is well, first let's do this one. They just don't answer. Or let's even say you send a text. You send a text, hey, this is Russ, just checking in to see if you had gotten the email and if you had any real estate questions or anything I could help you with, and they don't respond. Like, that's kind of going to be a sign that they might be red, okay? So you can decide. For me, most of you guys know I love baseball. So for me, it was 3 strikes, you're out. So if I sent somebody like that, and I didn't do it as text back then, but let's say today I would be doing it and I was sending a text and they didn't respond, then either on the 3rd one, or you could decide and do a 4th if you wanted. But I then would send a text that said, I've got a really important question for you. Do you have a minute you could talk? So if I called and I got a voicemail, I said, I got a really important question for you. Call me back. If they don't call you back, what are they telling you?
They don't want to talk.
They're red. So same kind of a thing in a text. If you're sending texts and they don't respond, say, hey, I've got a really important question for you. Do you have a few minutes we could talk? And if they don't respond to that, they're red. Okay, so that's another way you know they're red. They just quit responding. Then get rid of them. Okay. Or the other one would be you're on the phone with them, and you know how sometimes you get on the phone and you can tell they're like, oh shoot, I should not have answered this. If you get that, then here's what I do. I immediately go back to this. Because I'm looking for red, I would immediately go right to saying, hey, so Jim, are you still okay with me calling you every month about real estate?
No, I'm not, Russ.
You're not? Okay, sweet. Hey, I appreciate you telling me. And if that ever changes, just let me know and I won't bug you anymore.
Yep.
Okay, bye. See, I'm happy when I find that out. So that's the thing. When you're looking for the red, you'll go back to reestablish permission. If you're trying to find them as green, you'll be too scared to do that because you don't want to lose them. Versus when I'm looking for red, I'm immediate. If you ever feel like they're red or becoming red, just ask them, are you still okay with me staying in touch with you? Because you'd rather them say, yeah, I'd really rather you not. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, because we try to hold on to, I mean, I know everybody has done this, whether now or at some point in your career. you either have too few in the pipeline, or you're just holding on to that one hopes and dream. It's like the unicorn that you think is gonna happen someday. And that's what I'm saying, I was just going through this, I can eliminate half of my stuff.
Yeah.
And then you can go back through your database, like, I know what I'm gonna do today.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go back through, like, hey, are we still good? Are you going to move
Yes.
forward?
Yep,
If
just
you're not, you're not.
go reestablish
Okay.
permission, looking for the reds, because the ones you
It's
don't
a-
have to waste
that's
your
a-
time with.
So if I'm understanding correctly, you're just trying to apply some kind of a filter to get them out.
Yep.
Like, and if they're like, no, this is where we're at, this is what we're doing. We just haven't thought of you in a while. Thanks for the call.
Yep.
Yeah, keep in the green.
It's almost like you're refining your pipeline.
Yep.
Yeah.
So remember this, and with the closed system and basically every time somebody says no, or we're not doing anything, don't call us anymore, that's the free throw. That's how we create this free throw. Okay. All right. I felt like there was one other thing I was gonna say before. Oh, yes, the other way you know they're red. They pop up. Here's the other thing that's awesome is with the new Moxie Engage system that we have, it will offer up 5 people to you every day. So you could just create your list of the 200 in there, and it'll offer up 5 a day. Okay, so then you can go through and contact them. Now, here's the thing. When their name pops up for you to call them, and if you look at it and you're like hesitant at all to call them, like you feel like, oh, I don't really want to call them, guess what?
They're red.
They're red. That's the other way you know they're red, is because you see their name and you're like, I don't, like if you have the thought of I'm gonna wait till tomorrow to call them, they're red. Like this group of people should be, when they pop up, like, oh, cool, I get to call this person. If you're feeling hesitant to call them, they're red. Just know that they're red. And so just rather than hold on, just go, you know what? I don't have to have them. Get rid of them. Does that make sense?
Russ, what's that called? Moxie what?
Engage.
Moxie-
Yeah, it's
Moxie
on
Engage.
Engage. Yep, it's on 21 online.
So I just want to give feedback from how you guys handle like couples. Like, this is
Oh, good
maybe-
question.
This is maybe a dumb question, but I'm
Nope.
like, do I call my friend and then do I also call her husband? Do you call both of them or? whichever one?
I would just call whoever you have a relationship with, but because I come across that a lot. When I'm going for referrals on loan deals, I'll have a better rapport with one or the other, or one or the other was the driver in the deal that I've done with them. So like, for example, if the wife was the numbers person, that's the person I was dealing with during the loan process, that's what I'm calling. That's what I'm calling, I'm talking to. If the husband was the person who was in charge, that's what I'm calling.
Yeah, so you can do it either way.
So per couple or per family, it's maybe one contact per month. You don't necessarily have to catch both of them.
I would.
Here's what I would say. For me, it just depended on it's back to what you said. There were some that I had the relationship that I would call both just because I felt like it was okay and could work. There were others that, no question, I felt like, I don't really, like I would send the email to both, but then I only counted them as one though. Like, so I guess what I'm saying is, I would
Numbers
send
have
the
that.
email and put it to both the husband and the wife, but I only called one specific one. Or maybe, and you could even call her 1 month and him the next month. That would be okay too. Like at the end of the day, these are the protocols. The little small variations off of it are okay. Like, but so yeah, I'd say either way. I typically had, well, the way that so let me actually go back. I never did email because when I was doing this, I was doing only mailings. And so I just mailed it to the household and then I called whoever it was that I had the best relationship with. So it was a little different, but today I would put both of their emails in and then call whoever you have a relationship with best, or alternate if it was both. Yeah, either way will work. All right. Okay, so now last thing and then we'll be done. So if I had 200 people in there, and I'm telling you to get to this point right here is when 60% of those are green. And my definition of the green is they'll either do business with you or refer it to you. And for me, like I said, I typically tried to look at it as over a year. If within a year they would refer somebody to me or they did something themselves, that's how I would decide, yep, I'm going to keep them around. If they didn't, then that's when I would start to say, okay, that's when I would go back and just call up and say, hey, Jim, hey, just checking with you to make sure you're still okay with me sending you this information. So yes. And if you hear of somebody thinking of buying or selling, you'll refer them to me.
For real.
Cool. And like I said, like, I'm not really worried about how soon that is, but just like, you're still on board.
Yeah.
So I'm just basically reestablishing the permission to make sure that he's not red. And then great, I'll keep him, okay? But let's say another year goes by and he still hasn't, that's when I'm probably gonna be like, I need to get rid of him, okay? All right. So if I got a lead, a referral from 60% of those, how many would it be? And it's not 14. Okay. What is 60% of a 200? This is not trick Ma Pa Kill. 120. Okay.
We'll go to mathematician on that.
You're good. So out of the 120, I'm not saying you're going to do a transaction with every single person they refer to you, but would you think it would be fair to say out of 120 people that they referred to you, you could probably meet with 60? Meet with. I'm not saying do a transaction, just like you could go talk to them.
Yes.
Okay. And do you think it's fair to say from that you could probably get 30 transactions?
I do 40.
Well, here's what I'll tell you. The numbers are better than this. I'm just showing you, like, you should be able to say, if I have 200 and I got 120 people call, say, I know somebody thinking of buying or selling, and you only met with 60 of those, and then half of those turn into a transaction. How much is our average commission that we get?
12,000.
Is it 12,000? Okay, so what if we just said, though, for the sake of just
Easy math.
after, or
300.
well, let's even make it less than that. Let's just say, like, after your split or whatever, that it's gonna be what, 6,000. I don't want to overwhelm you guys, because then you'll go, I don't want to make that much money, and you'll. What's 30 times?
180,000.
Okay.
What? Break up.
So this is where I'm telling you guys, like, honestly, if you will do this, and it's a math problem. Can you see that, like, if you just consistently are putting people in and getting rid of whoever's worse than them, and then eventually what happens, like we were talking about with Tonya, you'll go prospect and be like, yeah, none of these people are better than who I've got, so I'm not adding any of them. But eventually, like, it starts out really low, but it gets higher and higher. Like, I promise you, this will happen if you'll follow the system. And all you got to do is get 200 people that you have permission with, send them something once a month, which the other thing I meant to say on this is it really does not matter what you send. But I would say make sure it is real estate related, so they relate to you that way. In the Realtor magazine one time, I read this funny story about a lady that, like, there used to be in, the Realtor magazine you guys get, like, it feels like every time you open your mailbox, it's like Harry Potter. There's a Realtor magazines in there. No?
Yeah.
I guess it's just me, but, like, I swear every time you go to the mailbox, it's like, there's another Realtor magazine. I just barely got one. Of course, maybe you should check the mailbox more often. Is my problem. More than once a month. But there used to be a section in there where agents could write in funny stories that had happened. And this lady wrote in and said, I've been sending recipe cards for 30 years or whatever. And somebody called me the other day and said, hey, love your recipe cards. We moved and I just wanted to give you our new address. So, like, that's why I would say you don't want them to relate to you as the recipe card lady. So anybody sending recipe cards that's now going to go cancel. So that's why I would just say send something that's real estate related. My recommendation is do neighborhood news off of Moxie Engage, because it's going to be real estate related. You can define it for their neighborhood specifically. And that's the way I always did it when I was doing the mailing, is my assistant would go out and do a CMA basically for the neighborhood that people lived in and send them, here's the homes that are active, under contract, and sold in your area. And anyway, if you'll do that, you become the expert in that area. And they assume you're selling every one of those properties that they see. So anyway, all right, questions?
I do have a question. So you brought up the jelly bean jar. What does she do to?
Well, the red and green is.
So did she just buy two?
No. There's not really. That was part of why I quit doing it. It was just a visual.
Oh, okay.
That's part of why I
quit.
Yeah. There were so many times that people would say, like, do you go get their names inscribed on everyone jelly bean? Like, no. That's, yeah, it was just a visual to show, like, what you were doing. So yeah, good question. All right. What other questions? Any on Zoom? You excited?
Are you gonna have like a rewatch available for this?
Yes, yep, it'll be on our
Well,
YouTube
there's a
channel.
test later, you gotta take it fast.
Yeah, in order to stay with the company, you gotta.
I have a question real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Who is
So
this?
why is 200 the magic number?
Oh, thank you. Great question. So the reason that 200 is if you had, what I found is because you have to contact them once a month, when you get higher than 200 is people, you tend to not do it. Like it waters it, you'll end up not doing it. It's just, the idea is to keep it manageable. And so the other reason that 200, so there's a secondary reason to 200 as well. And remember I said early on, it's going to be like a flat line, like you're going to feel like nothing's happening. The other thing I want to make sure that you guys know is early on in doing this, you're going to churn through it. Like you're going to put people in that say they're read, and then a month later, they're never going to respond to you. So therefore 3 months later, you're removing them out. Like early on, you're going to have this, it's going to turn over a lot at first. So that's the other reason 200, and why I say once it's matured, then you can shrink it down, is because to get it to work fast enough, you got to have the 200 that you churn through so that it then matures into the grains. So does that answer, Blake?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
Anything else? Question wise? Okay, thanks for being here. I'll look forward to calls in 9 months when you tell me I made over $180,000 a year. Yeah, February 19th. Okay, but for real, for real, I'm gonna teach this class again a number of times between now and then. Please come back, because I promise you, the first place you forget is you forget that you're calling looking for red. And as soon as you call looking for green, it's not like any of these that you quit doing, it won't work. So I just beg you to keep coming, because for me, that's what it took. I just kept coming over and over and over again. And finally, one day I was like, and in fact, a lot of times people will even tell me after they've been here a couple times. In California, I told you there's one guy that comes every time. And he, after the class, is like, you said stuff today you've never said before. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I probably said it every time. So you'll catch different things that I said that you didn't, you were looking at your phone or whatever, Aaron. I'm just kidding. Just put it back over. Okay, well, thanks for being here. Tuesday, I don't know what we're doing. Let me see.